This is a big day for GVG. Officially, as of now, Shire has beaten Mad, the first guild to ever do it. Immortal Elite is no longer undefeated. If we go over to the guild rankings to Mad, there is no longer the statement that they are undefeated in GVG. Yesterday, or 2 days ago, I'm a little late to posting this video, Mad lost to Shire by about 7%, which is insane and is a monumental achievement, and I want to highlight it a little bit. This was a massive undertaking. There was so much effort put into this and so much planning, and genuinely some of the most impressive coordination I have ever seen. At the end of the day, this is only possible because of the strength of these accounts, but Shire, compared to Mad's overall strength, is not that comparable, but it is the effort and the time committed that really allowed this to be possible. And like I said, the strategy is a very impressive win, and I want to highlight it today for you guys. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first of all, we need to start with the strategy behind this. How the hell did Shire win? Because Mad is, at the end of the day, the strongest defending guild in the game, and they have the strongest offense. It was thought to be impossible to beat these guys. But how did Shire do it? This is the most important thing that they did. As you can see on the screenshot, Immortal Elite is pretty much healthy. Shire is at about 40%. And the attack difference is astronomical. Mad has already done most of their attacks, and Shire has not done many. And we have only 14 hours left. If you know anything about GVG, this is a day and about 8 hours. So this is over 30 hours without doing anything. Well, why is that? Is Shire throwing? The answer is no. This was the strategy from the beginning, and it was very smart and very effective. Essentially what happened is Shire decided that they would spend the first day and part of the second day practicing on every single defense. Now this is absolutely genius, and I freaking love this strategy. They decided to not attack the first day and just to set everything and build it up. And that is why the score looked like this at the beginning, because this was all planning. Now, the first 40 attacks were easy wins, and also to test waters, which is really, really interesting. And the thing that Shire did to coordinate this is in their Discord, they had a Discord channel, obviously their normal Guild Wars channel, and they split it off into sections depending on Mad's defenses. So they had Stronghold 1, 2, 3, and 4. And what they did is they built the teams. They tested against the teams. They would show the picture of the team and the video of how to beat it. And they just planned and they prepped. And they spent the first 30 hours rigorously testing, building up strategies, and just getting ready to strike. But this was not an easy task. Obviously, Mad, like I said, is the single strongest defending guild in the game. If we go to an old scrapped video of mine, you can see that despite having some frankly monstrous BP, teams like this still stomped us, right? They were running a ton of Nightmare teams. Nightmare teams are very strong. And usually they are beatable, but they're not beatable when every single unit is A5 with some of the best gear in the game, right? These things are frankly impossible for almost everyone, even to set the teams, which is very, very difficult because Mad is just at another level when it comes to this sort of thing, right? There are a lot of teams that frankly we could not stand a chance on. This team right here, this is an off-meta cultist team, right? This was a team my guild could not beat. We fought Mad about a week ago. We couldn't do it. And there are tens and tens of teams like this. There are just such a large amount of teams that are frankly almost impossible to beat. So this was not without hardships, obviously. But basically, Shire opened threads, they worked on everything, and tried to deceptively convince Mad that they were not trying, that Mad could go in because they didn't think that they would lose. And then they were ready to strike, and they came in, and the score started to drop over and over again. Now, it was still hard because, as you can see here, there was a lot of RNG involved. A5 Carnelian, there's so many of them, literally has just a chance to not lose the orb, to not lose the unyielding, and it can cause a lot of issues. Then there's Malvira, there's Anora. Anora can freeze and stun. I mean, Yumi is annoying, Torador stuns are annoying, Wukong stuns are annoying. There was so much that went into this, and it was still an incredibly, while this is where the true genius comes in the strategy, it was still not easy by any means. And now that brings me to the result of all of this, which is the point system, which is completely screwed. So because Immortal Elite has been undefeated until obviously this one fight, they have accumulated points over the seasons, and the points do somewhat reset, but they never fully reset, which ends up making it so that Immortal Elite has over 200 points of a lead on Shire, which is the second guild, right? This is crazy because they only lose 2 points, which is ridiculous. And Shire gains 19. So this would take them over 12 consecutive wins in order to beat Mad again. And simply that is not viable because of a few things. Number one is it would require a ludicrous amount of effort, and it is simply not worth it. And the other thing is that Immortal Elite, after losing to Shire, has already changed half of their defenses. So Shire would have to go through the whole building up the defenses, practicing against them, executing, and Immortal Elite simply has had a fire ignited under their ass, and they are trying very hard right now to not lose again. So it is very unlikely that they are going to lose again. So massive props to both Shire for, succeeding so much. True David and Goliath story, and being the first ones to do this massive achievement is insane. But I also have to give mad props to Mad Elite. I know this video is focusing on Shire because they are the ones that won, but the dominance that Mad Elite has had is not to be understated. I cannot even explain how big of a gap Mad, Shire, and Dragon Slayers have above every other guild in the game. My guild is a fringe top 5 guild. We do not stand a chance against the top 3. I mean, you could look at the score versus Dragon Slayers. It's closer than it usually is, but it's still nowhere near close, right? So Mad somehow has been above every other guild for 8 seasons, and despite losing for the first time ever, they have already adapted and are already trying to stop it from happening again. So I gotta give mad props to both of these guilds, and really to every guild in Overlord, because GVG is mostly for the love of the game, and the border's nice too, but it's mostly for the love of the game, and it requires an immense amount of dedication and effort, and Shire has absolutely proven that they deserve to be up here. Mad props. Very, very cool to see something like this happen after, frankly, over a year of this mode being out. I love GVG. I love covering stuff like this. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. A little bit of a small video, but I wanted to highlight a very, very exciting moment. And Destined signing out.